My name is Omari the Rebel, and this is Tribechat, the long-form podcast about alternative sexuality from Nzuri Kabila or NK Swingers from a black perspective. We make you think, we make you laugh, and we make you come. Recording in What the Fuck Media Studios in Soho, New York City, to give you this special Mother's Day edition of our episode. Co-host Big Pink Pegasus should be joining us in a few. So here on the special edition of our Mother's Day episode of Tribechat, I wanted to get into introducing our guest, Miss Kinks with Keke. Keke is a paralegal by day and a podcaster by night. She started Kinks with Keke 3 years ago, entering the BDSM lifestyle herself in 2015. Her podcast discusses kinks and fetishes in detail to debunk myths or misconceptions by giving accurate insights based on her own experiences and factual information. Her main purpose of podcasting was to become an advocate / educator within the Black kink community and to be a relatable face for those that are interested in or already involved in alternative sexual lifestyles. You know, people like me. Feeling that there was a need for kink education by a Black person for Black people, Keke is here to address all the taboo topics that we as a culture have been told that wasn't for us or that we should not be a part of. So, to our guests joining us via Zoom, DVpassion, that is Ms. Lady V, and my brother DH Black. They are no strangers to the sexual positive community as a married couple of over 15 years. Shout out to y'all. D and V has spent over a decade in non-traditional relationships together. Through their hard work and dedication to the lifestyle, DVpassion Love Experience was formed in 2009. By sharing this personal knowledge and expertise, D and V helped hundreds of other couples and individuals to confront the challenges and obstacles they were facing in their own bedrooms. D and V are not only able to relate to those they coach, but they provide a blueprint to their own, to allow people to follow their passions for greater love and experiences. DVpassion's consultants are highly sought after, and the business has grown to include individuals and couples coaching workshops to the public, speaking seminars, national radio show, a sex-positive clothing line. I gotta see that. D&V were also featured on CNN, This Is Life with Lisa Ling, and in November 2019. And that month, V also released her book, which a friend of mine, Duchess Cashmere, told me about, The Buy in Me, the dichotomy of Lady V, which is sold on Amazon right now. Their motto is, your nut is valuable. As they each strive to make sex great again. They have a slogan. I like this. Love is not negotiable. It is required.
It's required.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Yes. So how you guys doing this Monday?
Good. Tired.
Tired?
This dreary weather is making me kind of lazy, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, I see you was trying to celebrate about getting off at 2 o'clock. We was talking about that on Twitter.
I was so hyped. I never get off early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say where I work, but I do work for the city and we are there, period. It's not really, no matter what the holiday is, they don't really just let us off. So when we got the email and he was like, oh yeah, y'all can leave at 2. And my boss was like, so bye. I'm like, bye. That never happens.
They feel for y'all. You deserve it. Y'all deserve it. So, Mama, how is Mother's Day treating you, Miss Lady V?
Oh, it's wonderful. My baby made some fish and some shrimp and grits and some salmon cake for breakfast. So I was very happy. So Mother's Day is treating me awesome.
Great. Yes, on this special edition, there's a couple of things I want to get to. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is balancing the kink lifestyle as well as family life. Now, before I do that, we have our news segment. Now, our news segment is called Habari Gani, all right? And Nzuri Kabila is the literal Swahili translation for the term beautiful tribe. Keeping with the cultural continuity of our brand, we begin with the Swahili term, what's the news? Habari Gani. All right, so first, according to Newsweek, Melinda Gates approved Bill Gates' unusual arrangement with his ex-girlfriend, Anne Wimbledon. Y'all heard about this?
I have not. I
Okay.
know that they're getting divorced or they're divorced.
Hold on, let me get to that. Bill Gates dated Anne Wimbledon, a software entrepreneur and venture capitalist, before he married Melinda French in 1994. But even after saying "I do" to Melinda, Bill reportedly had an agreement with his wife that he can continue to see Wimbledon for an annual weekend getaway. Bill and Wimbledon started dating in 1984 and bonded over a mutual interest in science. They remained close after the breakup in 1987, according to the Walter Isaacs 1997 Time profile on Bill, even now. Gates has arranged with his wife that he and Wimbledon can keep one vacation tradition alive, Isaac wrote in 1997. That was cool, but to get to what you were saying, and this is the funniest ass shit. According to MSNBC News, you know what the headline is? Melinda Gates now owns $5 billion across 3 stocks as part of their divorce.
Ooh.
All right, so Melinda Gates' divorce from Bill Gates has already led to the division of certain stocks. About 3 stocks worth $5 billion worth have been transferred to Melinda Gates over the past week. There are 3 stocks that make up the bulk of the assets transferred to Melinda. The divorce of Bill and Melinda Gates, announced earlier this week, has already led to the division of assets between a couple that's worth more than $140 billion.
Wow.
Okay. And more poly news, moving on to a little bit more black news. Willow Smith opens up about her polyamory, according to MSNBC News. See, Smith, daughter of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, spoke to her mother and grandmother on Red Table Talk about being open to multiple intimate partners. Willow Smith, the daughter of actors Will Smith and Jada Smith, also talked about the lifestyle, Smith's pursuit of emotional and romantic relationships and multiple partners, known as polyamory, was the topic of discussion of this week's Red Table Talk Facebook, which hosted by Smith and her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, her grandmother. So she says, the history of marriage really irks me. Shit, I could make an episode about that alone. Smith said while explaining her decisions to pursue consensual non-monogamy. That's the word, consensual non-monogamy. That's what we're here to talk about. Okay, just the history of marriage as a whole and what it has represented over the years for women in particular. The 3 women invited Gabrielle Smith, a polyamory advocate, to the show to discuss their practice of polyamory. And then when I thought that, I said, wait, her name is Gabrielle Smith? What is she, her cousin or some shit? Like,
could be.
All right. Smith's pursuit of... All right, so the history of marriage really irks me, she said. It's not about, I want to have all these partners. I want to do all these things, Gabrielle Smith said. It's just like my sexuality. I'm not specifically attracted to men, not specifically attracted to women or any other gender. It's that I'm open to anything. I want to be able to make opportunities if I feel like they're natural to me. All right?
I like that.
Yes. Also moving on, Sex and the City reboot, and just like that, to feature several characters of color, according to the Daily News. All right. As Samantha Jones exits, the other Sex and the City ladies return to the small screen to narrate the New York City's life in one's 50s. They will be joined by several new characters, mostly people of color. Included in the mix this time, at least 3 women of color will be regulars in the women's orbit, according to the report in TV Line. It's incredibly diverse and really exciting in an exciting way, Sarah Jessica Parker told Vanity Fair in late January, adding, the new writers would bring new life experiences, political worldviews, and a social worldview. The series producers has also made it clear that Kim Cattrall's Samantha Jones will not be killed off. I haven't watched the show, so I don't know necessarily what that means.
The show really can't go on without Samantha. I don't understand the reboot without Samantha.
It says the group will merely have grown apart by all indications, and that the executive producers Parker and Michael Patrick King are dedicated to depicting a New York on screen that reflects the realities of today. That includes addressing COVID-19 to increasing diversity. The two didn't want to tell a story with all white writers on an all-white cast because it's not reflective of the New York. HBO Max chief told content officer Casey Bloys told TV Line. So they're being very, very conscious about understanding that New York has to reflect the New York that looks like today. Both. Now, moving on, since we were talking about New York City, so both of our guests are Mason-Dixie line transplants. So, DVpassion, you're originally from New York, and you moved down south. Which part of Georgia?
Yes, we live in Atlanta, Georgia. And wait, before we even say anything else, I gotta say, I love the voice change in your story. It was everything. You gave it all.
Thank you.
But yes, we live in Atlanta, Georgia. We moved out here about 15 years ago. We've been married for 16, going on 17 years.
So y'all were freshly into your relationship when y'all moved?
Yes. Yeah. We only knew each other 3 months before we got married.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we got married within 3 months. And then a year later, we moved.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to tell everybody that, y'all going too fast is bullshit because DVpassion, your relationship has stood the test of time,
right,
and you're able to use your relationship experience to keep other people on track.
When it works, it works.
Yes. Keke, you're originally from North Carolina.
I am.
And you're now living in New York City.
Yes.
Which part of North Carolina, Keke?
Nobody knows where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
Because like a lot of the South, everybody has super duper small towns. I'm from a small town of 600 people.
Oh, I feel you.
It's adjacent to Raleigh, so it's about maybe an hour and a half from Raleigh.
I know that area then. I know it. If it's either a 919 or a 910, I know that area.
It's neither one, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not a 919 or 910. I'm not from the Fayetteville area or the Raleigh-Durham area. I'm from like the 252 area, so we're a little closer to the coast in Virginia.
Like Pink Hill. All right. So check it out. When I talk about North Carolina, I used to stay in North Carolina. That's where I met my wife, right?
What part?
Also, I used to stay in Eastern North Carolina. Also, I stayed in Charlotte. That's where I met my wife, right?
Okay.
Which brings me to my next point, right? See, I was watching DVpassion's YouTube video, and they had a guest who happens to be a friend of mine. I met him they had a show called it's sex. It's sensual erotic expression. Okay. Shout out to my homeboy Israel, the poet down there in North Carolina, right? So my dude Hef, right?
Okay.
Hef is a professional dom.
Yes, he is.
He also creates 2 natural supplements. One is called Pink Hef, and the other one is called Black Hef.
And Black Hef.
Yes. And they were talking to Hef, that's my homeboy, on his show. And Hef had a young lady joining them. They were talking about taking your supplements and such, right? So the first thing I wanted to know, all right, so you guys have both taken it?
Yes.
Oh.
Tell me, what does it feel like when you take the supplement?
I mean, it's no headaches because usually when you take supplements, sometimes it gives you a really bad headache. But with Black Hefs, it doesn't give you that headache, and it's kind of, it lets you know when you're ready. Like when you're ready, you're ready.
And with the Pink Hefs, I say it every time we're on conference with each other, anytime we travel with each other and we're speaking on the same platform, it is definitely the vitamin pussy juice. Like,
yeah, it's the vagina vitamin, like it's advertised.
It's the vagina vitamin. Like, it definitely gets you wet, moist, and keeps you there. And then, releases the tension a little bit so you can enjoy the whole experience.
It's the truth. Like,
so it's definitely the truth.
We recommend that product to everybody we see. Like, that's that thing we know, hands down, it works.
It works.
And it's also Black owned. You guys can buy Black, which is beautiful.
Yes, buy Black, yes.
What also made me think about that is I was like, yo, this supplement, it works. I was just talking to this guy. I'm like, yo, Hef, I gotta fuck with that shit. Like, yo, I'm a fan of like comic book movies. So I'm like, what I want Hef to do is I want to get on some real sciencey shit. Like I want to take the pill, the black Hef pill, and like milk that shit down and turn that shit into a fucking serum, and I can be like a sexual super soldier and shit. For real.
Yes.
Like, exactly. I want y'all to make me a little costume and a little shield. You're gonna call me Captain Erotica and shit.
Do it. With your chest out. Yes.
Also, like when I move, all right, going into like I want to talk a little bit more about Kinks. A little bit further, he's joined by a young lady. She is a former adult film star. I'm sorry, could you remind me the young lady that joined on that episode? I think her name is Exotic
Which
One.
episode was Exotic One? Exotic One? Oh, the one with China.
China.
Is that China?
China.
Yes. She's definitely a really good friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, ex.
She's a former
adult film star. She said she only actually did one film, and when she talked about the one film, I like the way she described it. She was talking about spa facials and shit, like, fuck yeah, like this is naturalizing it. And then when you go further into the episode, they talk about practicing oral sex and stuff like that, and Hef is from the South and such. He was like, all the people, you know, they just go right into it. They neglecting, you know, the titties.
He has a very thick Southern accent.
Fuck yeah. Like he sounds like he about to put like collard greens on you during role play and shit. But look, when they got further into the conversation, when they started talking about oral sex, they were talking about swallowing, right?
Okay.
So Exotic One says that she took me out because she said, I don't like swallowing because a long time ago I did that and it feels like a loogie was stuck in my throat for 4 days.
It's a mental thing.
I have cumphobia. We were talking about that. Yes.
So talk about your cumphobia. Was you able to get by it?
Yeah, now I am. Now I'm good. But before it was something that happened to me in my past. So when you read my book, you'll understand why. But it's something that happened to me in my past, and it gave me a phobia of cum, where I didn't even like it anywhere on me besides my ass, and that's only when I asked for it. And like if it happens randomly, I would really freak out, like get it off of me. But now that I'm older, I talked about it in the interview yesterday. Sometimes your sexual pilot, you learn new things on your sexual pilot. So you know, me embracing it more than a fear of it, because I had to put it in my mind, this is not the same person that hurt me. This is not the same person that did harm to me. So this is my husband, and I trust him of 16 years, that he's not going to hurt me. And once I put that aside, then I was able to open up more and introduce cum more into my life.
Yes. So this was a journey. So you doing spa facials now?
No, I'm not doing that yet, but I'm gonna get there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get there.
Yo, we gonna my brother, we with you, D, for real. One day, I want you to get to the point where it's like for real, like y'all role play with handcuffs and shit, and I want you to leave your fucking DNA all over the scene like it's a crime scene and shit. So tell me, how do you feel? How do you feel about cum? And because you identify as a sub, right? Because I was watching your episode on Horrible Decision.
Yes. I am very pro cum. Definitely. I like facials. I like it all over me. I'm to the point where I'm like, you can low-key cook it in something. I'll probably eat it. Very pro cum. I don't know what it is, though. It's just,
I seen a porno video where Naomi Banks had somebody jerk off on top of a cupcake and she ate it. That shit was funny.
My ex.
I love Naomi Banks.
Yeah.
He did that before and I ate it. It was on a piece of cake.
She's from Chicago. And we also have a mutual friend. How'd you meet Glamor's on Naomi Morgan?
Oh, I love her.
Oh my God. We know her for years. She's actually my best friend. She's my sister. We started out meeting each other through Hef. With his radio show. Back in the days, he used to have a radio show, and we were on a couple of episodes with her. And then we wind up connecting outside. My husband did some graphic work for her, and we wound up connecting. And now she's my best friend. We and her are sisters. I just spoke to her this morning. We're sisters. And my kids know her as auntie, so we became more family. So it's been years of just us bonding.
So,
That's awesome.
Olive, I wanted to get today, since on this special Mother's Day episode, I wanted to get to talking a little bit about kink and family and how we're going to negotiate the balance between the two. So first, Keke, tell me, are you partnered for everyone watching?
I am not partnered. Very single.
Are you looking for somebody?
Kind of, but not really. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm not really pressed.
Okay. And you have no children?
No children.
Okay.
Not yet.
But, so Lady V&T Black, you've been married for years and you guys are parents, right?
Yes.
All right. So can you guys
three.
tell me a little bit about how are you able to balance your open sexuality and your kink life as parents as well? Because you're also public figures.
I mean, we don't cross the two. Our girls are old enough to know what we do, but not in the full capacity of what we do. Like, we don't go about telling them exactly, like, we're doing face-it classes and what have you. But we tell them stuff on their level. Like, we had a class of mom and me, whereas Lady V and myself would talk to teenage girls about sex with their parents, because we find it hard that parents...
some parents aren't able to open
they're
up.
unable
I
to
talked
open
about
up
that in the
to with their
barbershop
kids
today.
and whatnot. So, I mean, our kids understand sex on their level.
And we have 3 teenagers. We have
Exactly.
teenage girls.
Yeah, I have a
at it.
teenager
So,
myself.
you know, reality is if we can go around the world and teach all of these people and help all of these people, we should be able to teach and speak with our girls. So, you know, our life, we make sure that we give them the knowledge that they like. I had to open up once we were on This Is Life. I had to tell my kids I'm bisexual. And they were like, oh, you should have told us that years ago. Like, once you I was like, oh, that's it, you know? But, you know, we're grateful to have that relationship. Yeah, we're grateful to have that relationship with them.
That's
we have
awesome.
an open door policy with our girls. If you want to come talk to us about anything, because I'd rather hear it from you than hear it from somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. If I could ask Keke, so how do you identify sexually?
I identify as a bisexual.
Okay, so
Yes.
yes. All right. What we talked about on Instagram, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this. As somebody who herself doesn't have any children, you also did share with me that you were in a relationship with a dom that had 2 kids.
Yes.
So what was that like?
His children knew, and he also has 2 teenage boys, knew nothing about his life. Like, he kept, they kept the 2 separate. Mm-hmm. So he had this part of his life, but he also had, like, his family life, and the 2 never really collided. However, his mother knew. His children, he kept it very, you know, separate from his children, but his family knew, his friends knew. Like, his mom knew I was his submissive. She would see me, like, when she came to visit, because she doesn't live here. Whenever she would come visit, I'm collared. So she sees me in a collar and she doesn't even blink twice, because he has that open relationship. Like, she found one of his books one day years ago and was like, what is this? And he sat down and he explained to her, like, oh, I'm into BDSM. I identify as a dominant. This is what I do. I was a submissive turned sex slave. Like, he explained that to her. So it was good for, like, the adults in the family. But as far as his children, he kept it very separate.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's not like podcast. Well, he does podcasts, but not on like a sexual level type podcasting. So they don't really have an idea, I don't think.
Lady V&D, do you have experience with specifically the BDS realm of alternative lifestyle?
Oh, we do it all. Yeah. We do it all. So, we into BDSM, we into poly, we into swinging, we're an open book. Not all with some of it we're kind of it's not my kink. But you know, at the end of the day, whatever makes the person happy, it makes them happy. Yeah. And we always talk about living your truth. So you gotta live your truth. If this is who you are, you like to be tied up, you like to be broke, be that and be happy with that. Because go ahead, baby.
And find people who actually like that with you.
Exactly.
Find trying to force it, not per se force it, but yeah, per se force it on somebody who's not into that same kink that you're into.
No, find your niche and your crew, your tribe, we call it.
Tribe. Yes. The tribe, awesome. I love that. I love that.
It's hard, but it's awesome.
Yes, of course.
You can be your authentic self.
Speaking of forcing, I want to ask about your specialty, face sitting. Okay, so is that in the BDSM realm? Or is that like you consider just a sexual kink?
It's BDSM and it's also sexual kink, because I'm into breath play. whereas I'm into asphyxiation. So I like to part of our tribe. But yeah, I like to be suffocated. So what's better to be suffocated with than a big ass? So
and I have a big ass.
So yeah. But how we got started with face sitting is through Exotica. After our class, a gentleman by the name of Buttman came to see us, and he was like, "Hey, please sit on my face, please."
Yeah, he followed me throughout the whole convention center. He saw our class and was like, "Yes, you teach on face sitting. I just want you to sit on my face." And that right there was like, huh? No, he didn't say you teach face sitting. He said, "You have a nice booty. I just want you to sit on my face."
Yeah.
Oh.
And I said, "Sure, no problem, but you have to go find my husband and ask him first."
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so he went over, found my husband, and asked him. And the next thing we know, we were over there by the dungeon area. If you ever go to Exotica, they have a big dungeon area. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And so we was over there by the dungeon area, and he was on a bench, and I sat on his face. And the crowd that
It was a crowd. It was an audience. People were cheering you on.
Yes, the whole audience just started coming out of nowhere. And when I got up, finally, his whole face was red. His wife was like, "Thank you so much." I'm like, did I just do something spectacular?
Now, mind you, his wife is way skinnier. She's like 100
His
pounds.
wife is like 100 pounds.
Soaking wet.
Soaking wet. And so, just seeing his expression and how he enjoyed it, so I was like, "Babe, we got something." And I was like, besides that then we were just teaching Bay is bisexual. Now our classes have went. So when we said we got something, it was like, okay, let's start teaching it. And our first class in Denver, it was Jersey. Yeah. And then our second class was Denver, and it was well over 300 people in the room.
Wow.
Denver was a packed class.
And it was packed. And I was like, "Oh, babe, we really got something."
Wow.
And every class after that had been packed.
And Sophia Rose certified our class. And was like,
Adult film star. As a matter of fact, you are a content creator also. You are on OnlyFans, right, Miss Lady V?
Yes, I am. I love my OnlyFans. My OnlyFans babies.
So, Keke, I want to ask you about this.
Okay.
So, what is your views on face sitting? But you identify as a sub, so is that and you're bisexual?
I do.
So, would you be preferring for the woman to sit on yours? Would you rather sit on hers or his?
It depends. Honestly, if it's with a woman, she can sit on my face. If I'm with a man, I want to sit on his face.
Of course.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, something that I wanted to get into.
Miss Keke. Oh, I got something to say. Miss Keke.
Yes.
Can you sit on my face?
I will, with your wife's permission, of course.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You see that consent?
Exactly.
So next time we're in New York or next time we're in Georgia, it's an open seat available on my face.
I'm planning to come to Georgia sometime later this year.
She's on her way down south to spend some time with her mom.
I am. I'm going home
so you
Memorial Day.
You're close. You might be almost there.
See? Let's make it do what it do.
I want to ask all of you guys this. Since you guys are both, what you both have in common is you both are transplants in the opposite direction.
Yes.
All right. So I want to ask everybody here, what can you guys say about your experience with the kink community and perhaps the Black kink community in the different realms that you've been in? So is there a difference versus where you're from versus New York? Tell me about that first. Like, what would you say the difference is with the kink community in New York and from down south in North Carolina?
It actually exists here. The kink community is not really all that big in North Carolina, and if it is, it's majority white people.
Yeah.
So it's a very small Black kink community, almost non-existent, but here it's like booming. Like, I found my place to be because, like, even all the people that I basically, like, hang with and identify with are all in the same realm. They're all kinky to some degree, into BDSM, or they have fetishes to some degree. So
we're
it's
swingers. We're on the swingers club.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
See? I don't know. I think people just get to live their best life here versus where I'm from in North Carolina, because we all know, even though the South is a red state area, it's not necessarily conservative. They live in Georgia. Georgia's very red state, but Atlanta isn't.
Yes.
My area is Charlotte, basically, but the kink community that I tried to dive into in Charlotte,
Queen City.
Yes, was majority white people, and they really weren't into letting outsiders in, so they were kind of like gatekeeping to some degree, and I respect it, but I'm just like, that's how we grow the community.
Exactly.
Like if you're just all white people and they're like all, and it was like a specific age, I didn't really see like a lot of younger individuals. I saw like 60 and 70-year-old,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, where's everybody 50 down or like 60 down? Like I didn't see that, and it's
And
just
people that look like us. This is
and
part of
people
why
that
we have a
look like
black
us.
swingers club.
Yes, and that's why it's so like my difference is like here I can just enjoy. I can be a part of the community, and the community is out loud versus at home where it's non-existent.
So can you guys tell us about your experience in the kink community in New York versus where you guys live in Atlanta now?
Well, we haven't been in New York in, 16 years?
Yeah.
15 years? So
We go to New York off and on, but it's not to experience the
kink rock.
I-
Go ahead, baby.
But I would say that the capital of black swingers, kinkdom, everything freaky is here in New York.
Atlanta.
I mean, we're like the
I'm
homeless
going
strip
down
club.
there next month for events.
Oh, yes.
It's like the
Yeah,
homeless
there's a
strip
friend
club.
of mine. Her name is
have
Mimi.
mansions.
She has a event called Coming Soon.
Yes,
Bus.
I know Mimi.
We know
We know
Mimi.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the homeless strip clubs. We have mansion parties. It's so many different aspects of the lifestyle, the kink community that you can attend. We have poetry. We have nude poetry. We have something. It's a site that I've seen.
Poets, you know.
It's a site that I've seen on Twitter, whereas they serve breakfast and whatnot.
Naked
It's called Naked
breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, exactly. Whereas in New York, it's kind of close to us, but in the South, it's more of it's underground, but it's open. As long as you find the right people to be with.
And I would say, no, you're okay, baby. I would say with New York, because our family and all of our family and church family and stuff like that is out there, it's kind of hard not feeling like I'm being judged in New York. Whereas I come out to Atlanta and people embrace who we are, because not only are we swingers, we're sexperts. We teach about sex. We teach adults about sex and how to open up their bedroom. So the judgment comes a little bit stronger when we're up north compared to being down south in our element.
And also we have Sex Down South, which shout out to Marlon Stewart.
Yeah, Marlon Stewart.
Yes, for
It's
sex
a
and sex.
conference that is about sex, and it's like the South, like how Outkast said during the Source Awards, the South got something to say.
Yes,
And we got something to say about sex.
And don't get me wrong, I love New York. I'm Brooklyn Bed-Stuy all day. But I'm beginning to enjoy more of the freedom that I'm seeing that the South does present. And it gives you some kind of, because you're looking at other people who are the same color as you, having sex without any arguments or fights, or no one's cheating, because there's no reason to cheat if you're swinging.
Don't get us wrong. There
Is some out there, but it's very rare that you find those issues.
I see that. I see that like in the opposite, like where I'm from, it's too small. Atlanta's the perfect place for it because Atlanta's like a very black city and it's a very black progressive city. So I do see that happening in Atlanta. But where I'm from, it's like, it's the complete opposite. I feel freer here because my family is in North Carolina. My church family is in North Carolina.
Exactly.
Like, my
So
friends are
So both of y'all are trying to get away from your family so y'all can get nasty. Exactly. Go ahead and get away and get nasty.
They don't think we know that they be fucking. Come on, they act like they holy art thou. Like we don't know you guys. How the hell did I get
Thank you.
It's Mother's Day. Who the hell didn't get fucked to be a mother?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Like the post of, I saw what you posted. Like, okay, and that's my page.
Right.
Exactly.
I saw what you said. Okay, and
So yeah, it's without judgment.
exactly.
Tell me about I was listening to a couple of your episodes on Kinks with Keke. So tell me about Mr. L.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh that loud, but every time I do a podcast, everybody's like, So what about Mr. L?
Well,
Okay.
I was gonna ask that shit. Man.
Okay, so Mr. L is a friend. He's also from North Carolina, lives in North Carolina currently. Pretty sure he won't want me to tell where he is, but he's from North Carolina, lives in North Carolina. He does identify as a dominant. He's also in the BDSM community. We're really good friends. He also struggled the same like I did. It's really hard to find your tribe in North Carolina because it's not a lot of people that talk about it openly, and we don't have like munches, and there really isn't like events that we could go to unless it's in Charlotte, which it always is. And then people have to travel from all over the state, but then people are hesitant because they're like, oh, I'm from here. Somebody's going to see me going into this event. Somebody's going to see me going to this expo, and then I'm going to have to deal with my parents and my family. So, but yeah. He has his own podcast, From the Mind of Mr. L. We met. I thought he would be a really good person to talk to about being, you know, black and being into BDSM from a male perspective.
Because he's black.
He's black, yes. Like
great.
me, my podcast is from a woman's standpoint and a submissive standpoint. So we had a really good chemistry when I was able to talk to a black man who identifies as a dominant. Like, he's very open about his sexuality. Like, he's straight, let me clarify, but he's very open and like unapologetic about what he's into and what he likes and what he's done. So yeah, Mr. L's great. Hi,
I feel
Mr.
like
L.
listening, you probably would get along with my homie King Noir. He identifies as a
like
dog.
King Noir. I really do.
Are y'all familiar with King Noir and Jet Set Jasmine?
That's
The
family.
Hillings.
That's family right there. That's our tribe.
Yes.
That's our tribe.
All right. Moving forward, I wanted to ask you this. Coming off of the eve of the pandemic, I want to ask you guys, all of y'all, how has you all have been in the sex positive community for a while. So I wanted to ask, how are you guys able to navigate your business and personal life in the kink community? What effect has COVID had on what you do personally and professionally?
Done. You want me to?
You want to go first, Keke?
Oh, I could go first.
Okay.
It really hasn't affected me any because I've kind of really just been keeping to myself because of COVID. So I haven't really been like dating and going out and meeting people. I really want to go to like sex parties and sex clubs, but I'm
Hit us up.
COVID. Like, I'm terrified. So it's hard for me to kind of like stick a leg back out there. And I've only been back in New York for 8 months. I just moved back here from North Carolina. So I haven't really had the chance. I'm hoping I will the later we get into the year, but it kind of put everything on hold for me because of COVID.
Speaking of holds, you was talking about you was bent over naked and somebody put food on you and they ate food off of you naked?
Wait, when did I say this? Oh my gosh.
Horrible decisions. You were sitting next to Goddess Ankh.
Oh God, when was that?
That was episode, what, 87, I believe?
It was. I was a
Weezy
while
wasn't
ago.
there. She was sitting on
She
the
wasn't.
table.
It was me and Mandy. Mandy had like, she called me and was like, you want to do an episode with the dominatrix? I was like, fuck yeah. Because I've never like met like a black dom before. I'm like, of course I want to talk to her. I can't even remember the episode. I was very high.
Word.
I'm gonna go ahead and
always
be
getting
honest.
high.
I was very high.
How are you guys? What effect is COVID-19? You guys have been around for almost 20 years. How has that affected like your OnlyFans, you guys being able to do seminars and coaching? So what effect did that have on your business and personal life?
Well, OnlyFans, it went up because people had time to stay home and jerk
Ariana Starr came on here and said the same shit.
Okay, so my only
And them stemmies came through.
came through, so my OnlyFans was definitely happy. Okay, but outside of that, as far as us, because we teach, we do workshops, we do conventions, all of those were shut down. We had a whole itinerary of 8 different states that we were due to go to, and we're supposed to go out of the country. And all of that canceled within a week. And it was like, wait, pause. So with COVID, it has affected us, but we turned that upside down and started doing classes online. So, you know, where people aren't able to actually come out to our classes, maybe they're unable to come to the state that we're in. So we were able to give them classes like face sitting online. I was able to put my ass all up in the camera for them.
Hell yeah.
They were
I want to
happy.
see this.
I want to see this.
Yes.
You
And,
came to New
we
York and we
able-
were supposed to link up and do some content.
I know, but you know, it was busy. I had family time during that time too, so it's kind of crazy. But next time I come there, I got you. But we turned it upside down and made it work for us. So instead of us not not having to be at these conferences, because believe me, we have booths at the conferences, so we make money. So we, I promote my book a lot more. I was able to connect with our audience compared to them just knowing what we do.
Yeah, we did a virtual conference.
Yeah, we did a couple of virtual conferences. Yeah.
Awesome.
And Exotica TV.
Yeah, and Exotica TV. And so,
Yeah,
I mean, that's been kind of holding us
with
down.
Tayomi.
That's been holding us down because honestly, I believe our industry has taken a hit last year, all the way around. I believe some were very happy with the online community, but others were kind of, it was hard to navigate into that online community.
Because you also got to think about the people who are depraved from being touched. Because it's a lot of people who are used to being touched.
I'm a touch person.
Me too.
She's a hugger.
That's
so
my love
every
language.
time she meets somebody,
You look like you
my
give good
love
hugs.
language.
Yes,
so-
he does.
Yes.
Oh, Keke gets some pretty good
that's
ones
my
too,
love
man.
language.
All ladies with big boobs give great hugs, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and big booty suit. But
Yep.
but yeah, all the people being depraved from being just around people and just the extroverts. I'm introvert / extrovert. But all the extroverts who are just stuck in that realm of just being in the house, not able to function and communicate with the people and the people they love in the proper way that they're used to.
And with us being people's person, people feel like they're right in the room with us. And we want them to feel that way.
feel
We
like
want
you're
you to
your
feel
best
like we and you are best friends right now while we on this case.
Yes.
So we had to bring that across to the virtual world.
You guys do virtual orgies because you said that you guys have an open relationship.
Yes. We do have an open. We've been married 16, been open 15 years.
Yeah, next month makes 17 years.
Next month will be 17 years we've been married. So, we've been open quite a bit. I've been bisexual since I was 12. So, we were talking about this yesterday on another interview. Like, when we open up, we open up because we were watching Bill Sex on HBO. And I think everybody seen the swinger episode with them in the woods. Everybody seen it. So it was something that we were like, hey, I like pussy, you like pussy, let's keep pussy together.
But it was reluctancy on my part because I was like, it's set up for you just going to come
Hell
out there
yeah.
like, you want to swing? And I was like, wait.
Yeah.
He took me back on like HBO. I'm a little bit younger than y'all, so it's like this is the shit where it's like it was still watching cable and some shit like this. So you had to have like, Cartoon Network on last, just in case somebody walked in the room and found out that you was masturbating and shit.
Yeah, like HBO Real Sex was the shit back in the day. And I feel like I'm old talking about it, but it was because it opened up like, hey, real couples that are black are doing it. They're swinging. What?
And back in those days, they didn't really showcase black couples swinging or in the kink community.
So they always showcase the Caucasian community, which we love. But on the same token, I wanted to see some chocolate, that beautiful black that don't crack. Exactly. Somebody that looked like me, And when we found that, it was like, okay, once we found a cool niche of people, and now that small niche of people we used to hang out with now has turned into a company that we are helping thousands of people. And this is like, it blows our mind. Yeah. But sex is beautiful and everyone loves sex. So why not talk about it? Now, why not be a part of it? And why not enjoy it?
Put your orgasm in.
Keke, have you ever thought about getting into content creation? Because you have a beautiful body. And like, I think that you would make some great content. There's a whole lot of people here. There's Lady V. If you ever seen Jet Set Jasmine and King Nosh, like, yo, they took me out. I saw the video. It was just a glob of spit from Jet Set Jasmine. And she just had some dudes. Yeah. And he was just like this, like.
I haven't. Like, I've been told I should by a lot of people, Mr. L included. Even my ex-dom, I'm just like, I don't know. I'd rather just keep it for myself. But I've been trying, like, people have been trying to talk me into it, but I'm just like, I don't know yet.
I think you'll be a star.
I had to think about it.
For real. Like, pose. Now, before we get close to the end, because there was something I actually wanted to get into, if I could ask all of you, where could we find you and your podcast and what you guys coming up?
Oh, okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Kinks with Keke Podcast. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr, even though Tumblr, rest in peace, at Kinks with Keke. You can find me wherever podcasts are found: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Anchor, Spreaker, SoundCloud. I'm there. Right now I'm on a hiatus. I'm planning to start releasing episodes going in towards June and July. So I've been like putting together and like scheduling interviews because I'm a solo podcaster. I typically don't have guests unless they're like friends.
Yeah.
But I think with, me being almost 3 years into it, 3 years next week, well, actually the 13th will be 3 years since I started the podcast. I think it's really time to jump into like a different type of way of doing the podcast. Still doing solo episodes, of course, but I want to start interviewing people because, again, I'm not the only person and I don't know every kink. So I want to talk to people who are experts, like swinging and like poly. Like that's important to me. I can't talk on it because I've never experienced it, but I know people who have and they can be the experts.
And I would love to come on one day, man.
We're going to do this. I told you.
Yes. Hopefully Pegasus will be around. So,
yes,
Lady V.
Of course.
So can you guys tell us where we can find you and about what you guys got coming up?
Well, you can find us on DVpassionLove.com. If you go there, you'll be able to see all of our information, our calendar, and our clothing line. My Orgasm Matters. It's definitely a shirt that we have, tank tops and everything.
Yoga tees.
You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, type in DVpassion. DVpassion Love on Twitter. And my book, The Buy Me, is right on Amazon. If you go to Amazon, it's only $13.99, and it's definitely a page turner. It talks about my bisexuality and me developing my bisexuality and my experiences. So it gives you firsthand what I went through. And just needless to say, the first chapter alone, it speaks about me being molested. It goes real full into depth. I give you all of me. So definitely check it out. But DVpassion everywhere. If you go to Lisa Ling, This Is Life, you type in DVpassion, you'll see it there.
Yes, I've seen you guys on CNN.
Episode 6, season 7.
Yes.
All right, now keeping
and my OnlyFans.
Yes, that content.
Lady V on OnlyFans.
Keeping with the tone right about now, actually, I wanted to shift gears. We have somewhat of a tradition on the show right now. We get everybody to weigh in. So I would like all three of y'all to weigh in on this kind of heavy, sensitive topic, all right?
All right. Gotta get
starting
prepared.
with all of y'all. Do you eat ass?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Say that.
Do y'all eat ass?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, all the way.
Yes, we're happy to celebrate everybody who is pro eat the groceries, all right? All right. Now, before I let everybody go, I did mention that this is a special Mother's Day edition of this episode, okay? Now, before I let everybody go, I just wanted to take the time to give a special shout out to two people that mean the world to me. I wanted to give a shout out to El Monique King and Toy King, to both of my mothers. So you heard that correctly. I said my two mothers. So if I talk a little bit about El Monique King, she is the mother who raised me. She is also 53, a poet, a writer for a newspaper, as well as a licensed therapeutic foster parent, school teacher, and currently she did testing for people who have contracted STDs, and she provides counseling for them.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And her partner also was helping her run her own business. How I got started as a creative artist is in the family that I grew up in. Okay. So I had to learn what a copyright was early from my mother. How I got my name is literally from my mom. She's the person who's responsible for my position on my pro-blackness, responsible for helping me cultivate myself as an artist, right? So I wanted to take the time to let you guys know that we want to celebrate mothers, but most specifically, the Black LGBTQ mothers. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you are in this community, you know exactly how difficult it is just to navigate spaces. So I want to put a face on something. I want you to think when you're a child and you're going to school, you're just now starting to understand, you don't even know about sex. But the only thing you know is that when you go to school, you're getting into fights and confronting people because people use homophobic slurs to describe your mom. This same person who is so dedicated to the virtue of motherhood that she was a licensed therapeutic foster parent and spent the day teaching children. So to bring this to my next point, I also want to celebrate her partner, my other mom, Toy King, for doing what it takes and being the person to love somebody else's child.
Ooh, yes.
And I wasn't actually a good kid. I made it difficult.
But you were a kid.
Yes. Amongst how difficult it is for people in the LGBT community to navigate this really intolerant world, it's also increasingly difficult for people who are Black. And if you're a Black woman, you already hit the trifecta of oppression. So I want to shout out to everybody in the Black LGBT community to let you know that you have to be proud of who you are. The reason why is because my mother wrote a book, From Platinos to Collard Greens.
Oh.
The book, she's also a writer. We're artists.
Just jack of all trades.
Do you know what the book is about? The book is about how I have a daughter who would be 14 in July, and she has never in her life met my daughter, ever. My mom has never a day in her life been in the same room as my daughter. Why? Homophobia. So I was blessed not only to be the man that I am today, but having two moms also give me the opportunity to get a front row seat to seeing how homophobia is destructive to communities. I dealt with that as a child, and I still deal with the consequences as a man. I just want to let everybody know it's not enough to say, oh man, I'm not discriminated against anybody. It's not enough to just say, well, it's not me oppressing them. It's time that we do the right thing and stand up, because my mother isn't alone. There are thousands of LGBTQ parents, specifically mothers right now, that need to be celebrated. So we need to do the right thing, okay? And celebrate all of the mothers. Understanding that the intersectionality of Black and LGBTQ is very real, okay? And if you don't think so, you should look up Baynard Rustin, because this is actually the gentleman who made it possible for Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech to happen. And he's a Black gay man. So I want to let you guys go. My name is Omari the Rebel, and this is Tribechat. And you guys make sure you check out DVpassion and Kinks with Keke, man. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you. I'm
Nice to
going to
meet
call y'all
you
later.
too.
Thank you guys. Thank
Happy
you so
Mother's
much.
Day.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care.